Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into Electric Bike Journal. You know, if you're looking for a lightweight, cross-country, down-country style, full carbon electric mountain bike, well, you're gonna wanna stay tuned because today we're talking about the Fantic Rampage 1.2. This is a very cool bike from Fantic. It's their entry into the lightweight eMTB game. So coming in at just over 34 pounds. It's a very neat bike that we've had a lot of fun on so far. So stay tuned, we'll talk about the specs and of course share our thoughts on how it rides. Right now I'm just pedaling with it off, nice little flat, kind of farmy crossover connector road. Really, we're just wanting to show you guys how this bike performs and share our thoughts. So I'll kick things off while we're riding up this road and talk about some of the specs across all the models, and then get into the specs more specific to the Rampage 1.2 that we're riding here. So, all right, let's keep spinning and see how this bike can do. I just want to go over the general overview of the Rampage. This is Fantic's first lightweight eMTB. This is a full carbon frame, 29-inch wheel platform, and across the board, all 6 models will have a TQ HPR 50 mid-drive, and that's paired with a 360 watt-hour battery. Something that is cool, if you're worried about battery size and power, they do have a 160 watt-hour range extender that you can get to put on this bike as well. It's going to add a little bit of weight, which the highest spec model of this does come in at about 34 pounds. So this is a very lightweight bike. This model is around the 35 to 36 range, and it feels lightweight and nimble on the trails, that's for sure. So this is the Rampage 1.2. This is the entry model into their lineup. They have 6 different models. There are kind of split 50-50. This bike is designed to be either a 120 millimeter front suspension front end, or you can run it as a 140 millimeters. This is a 120 millimeter version. The rear suspension will stay the same across the board, but as their low-end spec, it is not a low-end spec by any means. This uses a full SRAM GX AXS drivetrain, T-type in the rear, has that TQ drive unit like we talked about, and a RockShox SID Ultimate fork and rear shock. This does use the remote lockout on there, so a little grip shift here on the bars to switch between wide open and fully locked out to help just increase the performance and energy that you are putting into the bike to keep it into driving you forward. Brakes are Magura MT8s, good brake spec across all the models, and this being a 1.2, you know, drivetrain, suspension, all of that's getting kind of boosted up as the models increase. But as you can tell, this is not a low-end spec, definitely not your average base entry-level model. It does come with 2.4-inch wide tires, but there is a flip chip on that rear axle, allowing you to move it inwards to bring that rear wheel in tighter, hug it up on the frame a little bit closer if you switch to a 2.2-inch tire. This is a size large. I am 6 feet, so you can look at the numbers shared over here that will have the geo numbers for a size large, and those will be easily accessible through the website as well for the different sizes. But one thing that is worth noting before we get out and ride is the dropper post and the handlebar cockpit setup. So this is a Crank Brothers dropper. It's great to see a dropper post on this bike. However, with such a low seat tube collar on this bike, I do feel as though we could have gone with a longer dropper post. So as we get out riding, I've got a few miles in it so far. It hasn't been a major issue, but as we get into some more technical stuff, we'll see how that is as far as getting the seat out of the way. Up front though, this is a different style cockpit than I am familiar with, the type of riding I do. If you are an XC rider, this is gonna be right up your alley. The handlebars are a fully integrated carbon stem and handlebar combo. I personally am not a big fan of those because you are limited. If you want to change anything, you have to change the whole handlebar and stem setup. The fixed -17 stem angle and these bars, they work, but if you are riding more aggressive or maybe you're on the 140 front end, I'm guessing you probably would want a slightly different setup up there for the type of riding you're doing. But I think with any bike, you know, saddle, tires, your cockpit, these are all things that people are likely to change to fit them and kind of be what they're looking to ride anyways. And, you know, it's nice to see options, but this is what it comes with. I will say that the sweep on the handlebars is comfortable. It's just getting used to that negative slope up front that kind of pulls you over the front end. But as we get out to some climbing, we'll see how that ends up helping me to keep the weight up over the front end. Well, that's enough talk about the Rampage for now. We'll have a full write-up on the website, talking about all the specs, price points, and of course the offerings for the different models as well. So for now, let's get out and ride. We'll talk about this TQ drive unit, show you how it performs and our thoughts of how it feels, as well as the overall suspension feel and general riding platform of the Rampage. So let's get after it. All right, well, we're getting across some of the more mellow terrain to get over to some single track over here. I've had the bike off for the most part. Just kicked it on a second ago to talk about our tune. For the most part, it is stock how it ships. I did boost up the boost mode just to see what maximum power output is and can be out of this bike. So hopefully I'll get a chance to use it on one of these climbs, but we'll find out. Go ahead and do half of this climb here in the eco mode, and then we'll try out the other modes. But in that base mode, it's pretty nice. You can hear it working, you can feel it helping. You can definitely tell it's a lightweight drive unit though, compared to the full power Bosch or Shimano. Boost up into the second mode, and noticeable difference. Do not have to shift down as far. And one little punch here. Let's try out the boost. Oh yeah. A lot to offer. Something I like is this really minimal display up here on the top tube. It's going to show you bars for battery and a little dot there that controls or shows you what pedal assist mode you're in. And then you can hit the button there on the middle of the screen and navigate it through a few options. You can set up the different pages of what it shows you depending on, you know, how many times you press the button. But as you can tell, I've been climbing for a while now. For the most part, been using the trail and eco. I feel pretty good about it. And when it goes up into the boost, it's got a lot of power for how light this platform is and how efficient this pedaling platform ends up being. Bike rolls really fast. Front end's kind of twitchy. Fortunately, really wide bars on there, so it's easy to keep control. Feels a little stable, but now I know everyone's range is going to be different. But just as a example of ours, we've got 34-ish, 35-ish miles in eco. So far, still have 30 miles left. Trail's down to about 20, and in that boost mode, it's at 16. But that's just a reflection of what I'm getting, how I'm riding today, temperature, tire pressure, dirt, all those factors involved. Well, there it is, folks, the Fantic Rampage. Very high end. They do a great job and really make riding this bike very enjoyable and predictable and reliable. That TQ drive unit, although it might be on the lighter side for E units out there, mid-drive units, it works really well. Most importantly, it's super quiet. I really like the distraction-free aspect of riding this bike. You don't hear the whine of that drive unit a whole lot, or if any. We just want to bring you along on that ride to show you how it performs, mainly focus on the climbing aspect of it. Descending will always change based off your terrain and how open the trails are and such. So as the weather continues to improve and we continue to get more miles on this, we'll follow back with our overall thoughts on general performance. Things might change like seat post or stem and bar combo, but as it sits right now, I'm very satisfied. It's been really fun to ride. I'm just gonna play around with it and see how enjoyable I can make it for myself, which is something that we encourage people to do with bikes. They're great how they come, but sometimes it takes tinkering with them to make them perfect for you. But you will not be disappointed. Fantic is really trying to make a big push here in the US, so these bikes will be available. You can get a hold of Fantic and get one to you, but they're doing a great job. If you're in Europe, you probably know a little bit more about this brand. But we have more in store from Fantic and their partner brands here coming up on the channel, so stay tuned for those. In the meantime, this is the Fantic Rampage 1.2, a very lightweight, very fun and enjoyable bike to ride with some modularity in the rear end there to change out for your tires. But again, if you're looking for a lightweight, endurance, distance-focused electric mountain bike, now you should definitely take a look at the Rampage. This is a very cool offering that I think does a really good job. It sits on the list with bikes like the Scott Lumen, the Trek Fuel EXE, which are both ends of the spectrum for geometry and their intended use and purpose. So for now, the Rampage, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.